Hi everybody, it's Keren here from tuppencecoloured.co.uk. Thank you very much for joining me today. This is today's project. It's a little box which is sized to hold, a small little gift. And inside, if I open it up, it is in fact an explosion box. And I've made it to fit this little bottle of nail varnish, but obviously you could put in there or whatever you liked. And if you stick with me, I will show you how I made it. This is basic black card, which is 6 3/4 of an inch square, and I am going to score it at 2 3/4 of an inch on each side. So the easiest way to do that is to score it once and then rotate. So 2 3/4, 2 3/4, 2 3/4. So this is going to be the base of my box, and I've got it all scored up. And you can probably see from the grid pattern, I know black isn't the easiest thing to see, but you will see that if I just try to fold it up as it is, I have got way too much card in these outer squares, and this is because this face here is a rectangle, it's not a square. If this was if this was a cubical box, a square box, then it would be quite simple, because we would just fold those pieces over and that would be all we need to do. But because it's a long skinny box, we need to do a bit more work. So I have my silicone mat, a ruler, and my embossing tool, and I'm just going to emboss corner to corner on this piece. And now I'm going to measure out from this line here. I'm going to measure out 1 1/4 inches. And again, black on black's not easy to see. And I'm going to mark. In fact, I'm going to score down. And I'm going to do the same on this side, 1 1/4 inches. And I'm going to score down. Now where these two lines that I just scored meet, I'm going to take my shears, my craft scissors, and I am just going to cut that away so that I'm left with that shape. And I'm going to go and do the same on the other 3 sides. So see you in a minute. And that's the shape I'm left with. So now I'm going to burnish my score lines. Here's my box base now. All my edges have been 3, 2, 1. Here's my box base now. All my creases have been burnished. The diagonal ones I have pinched so that they are mounting folds. And now I'm going to bring this box together. And I appreciate it's black on black, and it's not the easiest thing in the world for you to see, but I hope you'll be able to follow it. So I'm going to take this edge and fold it over to that surface. All right, so far. Now this edge, that goes over to that surface. This edge to that surface, and it's the last one that is the fiddly one. Isn't it always the way? So that edge, I want to make sure that that folds inwards. And by doing it that way, I hope you can see, yeah, I have one flap on the inside of each of my surfaces. And that is my little box already. For the lid of the box, I have a piece of the copper foil, which is in the Autumn Winter catalogue, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And I've cut it to 3 3/4 of an inch square. Now, because it's going to be a lid, I'm going to use my box lid shim. And this is an idea I got from watching Connie Stewart, so I will put the link to the video in the more information box below. But what it is basically, it's a piece of acetate window sheet which I've scored and cut so that it just fits over the edge of my simply scored scoreboard. And I've glued 2 pieces of card to the edge, and that will just push my my scoring just out that little bit that way, so that when I finished with it, the lid will fit neatly onto the box without any bowing. It won't be too tight or too loose or anything like that. So fingers crossed. I'm scoring on the white side of the card because I had a go at scoring on the copper side, and it didn't really work well. The coating on the foil kind of resists the scoring, so I'm scoring at 1 1/4 inches all round to make sure that that is in place and that it is straight. And I'm just taking my time because this card is very, very pretty, and I do not want to waste it. And I've had one failure already, which was because I didn't cut my card square. That was entirely my fault. That wasn't the fault of the card. There we go. So I've got a nice grid pattern on my copper card. All my creases are burnished, and I'm going to turn this over so that you don't get, you know, quite so much reflection in your face, because now I'm going to snip into the corners, and I'm just going to cut out a little sliver from both edges. I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to do the same here. And the reason why I'm doing it this way and not, for example, freeing up those two flaps is because if I do it this way, it distributes the bulk a bit better, so that each of the side flaps of the box will have one inner flap coming into it. Actually, I forgot to trim that one, rather than two of them would have two pieces coming in and two of them wouldn't have any. So this way, everybody gets a share. Each piece gets a share, and it's a much more even way of doing things. Okay. Now, the mistake I made when I tried making the prototype, and in the first incarnation of this video, was I went and got carried away and folded it all up straight away. I'm not going to do that right away because I'm going to decorate it first, and I want to pierce a hole in the center of the top. And the easiest way for me to do that, to find that, is to take my ruler and draw corner to corner, and same thing coming back the other way, and then X marks the spot. I have my piercing tool and a cork to hold underneath it, and I'm just going to pierce a hole right in the center. Now I'm actually going to need it to be more of a slit than a little hole, so I've got my snips, and I'm going to just enlarge that just a little bit. I want something to go onto the top of the box, so I'm going to use this stamp set, Grateful Bunch, and I'm using this stamp here. It is one stamp, even though it's 4 flowers. I have scrap basic black card, which, as you can see, I've been cutting into. I think I've been cutting owl parts. And I have Versamark ink. Because this is a photopolymer stamp, I have my silicone mat underneath. Now I find that the silicone mat works just fine for me, so I've got my Grateful Bunch punch, so I'm trying to orient things in the same way, more or less, as my punch. So I think that is the way I would need to be. And I'm going to press down and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you might have noticed that I went all over my card with my embossing buddy, and that is because I have my copper embossing powder, which I am going to sprinkle onto the stamped image, which I just stamped with the Versamark. And I think maybe I can get all of this in without actually needing my tidy tray. Yes. Oh. Now see, if I hadn't had the tidy tray, that would have gone everywhere. here is my heat gun. Normally lives on a little hook underneath my crafting table here, and I'm just going to give it a second or two to warm up. Now this is quite a gentle heat gun, so it's not too noisy. I have another one which is much noisier, but for the purposes of this demonstration I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to heat from underneath. Now we've got a couple of schools of thought on this one. One is that heat from on top, and you know, it'll all happen that much quicker. The other one is heat from underneath, and you will get a much glossier finish, a much more of a mirror finish. And that is because if you heat from on top before the powder has had time to set, it will blow everywhere, and you will get little tiny bits of embossing powder get blown off, and that's why you get that pitted effect sometimes. So that has come out quite nicely. So I have my yeah, you see now, after all that thinking about which way round did I do it, I went did it wrong, didn't I? So not to worry, I'm just going to chop this bit off. I thought I was being so clever. I was wrong. However, it's not the end of the world. It's just a bit of paper and card. It's not life and death. So, got all that nicely lined up and pressed down firmly. And my flowers fly everywhere, but they are cut out. My 3 flowers, and what I've done off camera, which was take one, because it went a bit wrong, was I pierced a hole in the centre of each flower, and I got my snips and I just enlarged the hole a little bit so that it was a slit, because I have one of these which is the pine cones embellishments, the mini pine cone embellishments, and it is in the same lovely copper colour as everything else, and I'm just going to layer those 3 flowers up with the pine cone on the top. So because I've gone ahead and made those slits, I can just push those through. So that is now going to fit into the centre of my box. I bring back my box lid, which I still haven't stuck together, because I tried to do this with the lid assembled and I got into all sorts of trouble, so I learned my lessons. Okay, right, so that now has all pierced through there. Now I don't want it to fall out the back, so what I have here is a piece of cocktail stick, which I've just chopped to the size I want it with my, don't use your good scissors, don't use your good snips on that, use the kitchen scissors or something. Okay, I'm just going to put a bit of Tombow. It's a bit too much Tombow actually, but it's going to be on the inside so nobody's going to see it. And I'm going to slide the cocktail stick, which just about fits, you do need the pointy end, just into the loop on the back of the pine cone. And once that is dry, that is not going to come out. Right, that is there. Okay, so now I can go ahead and finally assemble my box lid. So as I've got the Tombow out, I think I should probably use that. Where are my pegs? I have pegs here. So I have some mini pegs. And you could use fuse. Alright, I wouldn't recommend using snail, it's not strong enough. But, somebody was telling me that snail and fast fuse are the same price per foot, because I know fast fuse costs more, the refills cost more, but they last longer. Right, and I'm just using my little mini pegs. Paper clips would do, but I happen to have these little little mini pegs which retired at the end of the last annual catalogue, and I happen to have them left, so I'm just going to make use of them, and I'm just using them to make sure that everything sticks together. Alright, that's going to take a little while to set up because the foil isn't terribly absorbent. It's not observant either. So I'm just going to let that set, and I shall come back in a little while. Okay, so here's the box, and I'm just going to pop my little bottle of nail varnish inside, and here is the lid, and that just fits on nice and snugly, and there it all is. And there it is, my finished little box, which after I'd made it, it occurred to me that the colour scheme was very much like that of a well-known brand of battery. But I think it's elegant anyway, and I hope that you like it as well. And I think something like this would be lovely to be a little, you know, a little stocking filler present, or something for a Secret Santa, because, you know, Christmas is coming, and we are going to want to get ready for it. But for now, that is it today. Hope you've enjoyed this project. If you would like to see more, then please do subscribe to my channel, because I will be posting more videos very soon. If you want to visit my blog, my Facebook page, or my online store, then you will find the details in the more information box below, and I will also put a link to Connie Stewart's box shim video if you want to find out more about that. But for now, that is it. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.